What's up, YouTube? It's your boy TPGTCG back at it again with another video. Today we're going to be covering the newest game to the channel, Riftbound. We're going to be covering Kai'Sa and what makes that deck so strong. So stay tuned. Let's hop right into it. All right, guys. So today we're going to be covering a how-to-play guide for Kai'Sa in Set 1 Origins of the Riftbound trading card game. So Riftbound is based on League of Legends. If you guys know anything about me at all, I just love card games in general. I didn't really get into League of Legends until I got into Arcane. However, when Arcane came out, I found myself going deep into the rabbit hole that is League of Legends, playing a bunch of the game as well as a bunch of TFT with my friends and just falling in love with it and the IP in general. I have a bunch of the lore books as well. I just think the world of Riftbound is so interesting, and I'm so excited for the card game. I don't think there's a better way to start this series than with Kai'Sa, probably the best deck going into the Riftbound Set 1 format. So that being said, let's hop right in and I'll give you all my thoughts on the deck. Okay, so these are the two primary Kai'Sa cards you're going to see. One is going to be the Legend, the character that sits outside of the game that gives you an ability that you can use that also indicates what runes you're able to use. In this case, it's Mind and Fury for Kai'Sa, aka blue and red. And then the other one is the primary champion unit. Kai'Sa does have a couple of these, and we'll talk about the other one in a little bit. This is the one that is in almost every single list. Okay, this is Kai'Sa Survivor. Kai'Sa's main focus is to add extra resources to your pool, sort of like a mana pool in Magic the Gathering. This is going to allow you to cast spells only, not units, not gear, only spells. So if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, these red-blue color combinations are going to be very familiar to you. Is it Spellslinger? If you're not familiar with Magic the Gathering, don't worry. Is it Spellslinger is basically just a color combo that's very classic for blue and red. It's all about launching these very powerful red and blue spells, and just having resources to keep launching those spells continuously and sort of barrage you with spells more so than characters or creatures or units. And that's sort of what Kai'Sa is doing here, right? So basically you can exhaust the leader or the legend Kai'Sa in order to add that extra mana pool for just spells. Additionally, Kai'Sa Survivor has Accelerate, where you can pay one additional red to cast and have her ready when she enters the battlefield. And then when Kai'Sa Conquers, you do draw a card. So it also has a built-in draw engine, which is very, very good for these style of decks. Next, we're going to talk about some of the big payoffs or the spells that you get to sling. The first one, and the most powerful one in my opinion, is Ichthian Rain. This is a 7-cost spell. That's a signature spell for Kai'Sa. And you do this 6 times. You deal 2 damage to a unit. So you're just going to have a barrage of damage coming out and dealing a total of 12 in multiples of 2 across the board, which is very powerful. Next, you have Singularity, which deals 6 to each of up to 2 units. Just sort of nuking 2 units is very good. It's sort of like a baby version of Ichthian Rain. And then we have Void Seeker. This is an action, so you can play it on showdowns or on your turn. So it's a way to interact as well. And you deal 4 to a unit at a battlefield and then draw a card. So you can sort of snipe a unit that's in combat with one of yours to draw a card as well, which is just, again, very powerful. Then we have an even babier version of our signature spell. We have Falling Star. This, you do it twice. You deal 3 damage to a unit, essentially being able to target at least 2 units to deal that 3/2. This is a very, very good card. And then we have Stupefy. This is a reaction, so you can play this at any time. And you give a unit -1 might, and then to a minimum of 1, it cannot go below 1, and then you draw a card. This is just sort of a neat little combat trick that will allow you to prolong the game and just have a more powerful game state overall. Okay, next we're moving on to some of the units that Kai'Sa decks will typically play. So we have a mix of champion units as well as normal units here, and we're going to start off with on the one that's right under my face cam. This is the other Kai'Sa. This is Kai'Sa Evolutionary. You can't see its stats, but it's a 6-cost, 6 might. It has ganking, so it can move from battlefield to battlefield. And then when Kai'Sa Conquers, you may play a spell from your trash with energy cost less than your points without paying its energy cost, and then you recycle it. So you are able to basically pay a reduced cost for a spell whenever this Kai'Sa Conquers, which is really cool. Then we have Noxus Hopeful, which is a 4-cost, 4 might. that is a unit, and it has Legion. So you get this effect if you've played at least another card this turn, and it just costs 2 less. So this only costs 2 to play, which is very powerful. It's a very good curve, and it's just a powerful low-cost body that you can play to have a body, as well as keeping some runes active for your spells that you're going to sling. Then we have Thousand-Tailed Watcher. This is a 7 cost, 7 might. It has Accelerate, so you get to pay 1 additional in order to have it come out ready. And then when it's played, you give enemy units -3 for the turn to a minimum of 1, 3 might. So it does debuff all of the enemies as well, allowing your spells that are going to deal damage to have more effective damage. And that's sort of what you'll see with those spells that do -1, is you can do minus something and then have a more advantageous board wipe with those cards that deal X across the board. And that's sort of what we see with Thousand-Tailed Watcher. Then we have Kaisa Survivor. This is a card we talked about in the beginning. This is just the main Kaisa. You're going to see it in almost every single Kaisa list. It just has Accelerate, so it comes out ready if you pay the additional 1. And then whenever it conquers, you draw a card to help you replenish your hand. Which is very good, very low cost early card that just allows you to sort of accelerate the game plan. Next we have Darius. This card I've seen in a couple lists, so it's worth mentioning. It's a 5 cost, 5 might that just when you play your second card each turn, it gets +2 might and you ready it. So you can sort of do multiple things with this Darius in a turn, as well as making it bigger and stronger, which does help in the mirror match, adding that might to sort of dodge some of those spells that might reduce your might. Next, we're going to talk about some of the battlefields that Kaisa typically plays. Kaisa typically only plays these 3 battlefields. This might change in the future when we get more, but I wanted to include this because in the future we are going to be covering decks that have a multitude of battlefields they might want to play, but Kaisa does typically only want to play these 3, and that's Void Gate, Tarragon's Peak, and Reaver's Row. Void Gate is, in my opinion, the best one, but it obviously depends on what you're facing and which one you want to see more. So Void Gate spells and abilities affecting the units here deal 1 bonus damage. So your Kaisas are going to do more damage to the units there, which is very good. All of your spells are going to do a lot more. Tarragon's Peak is when you conquer here, you ready 2 turns at the end of the turn. Sorry, you ready 2 runes at the end of the turn. This is going to allow you to have some untapped mana in order for you to play cards on your opponent's turn and get value that way. And then Reaver's Row, when you defend here, you may move a friendly unit here to a base. This is just to sort of defend a unit or protect a unit if you're going to lose this battlefield, which is very nice. So yeah, those are the battlefields that you're typically going to want to see in Kaisa. There might be some experimentation that can be done, but almost all the lists I've seen have just played these 3. All right, next is going to be an example deck list. I think this is going to be a deck list you're going to see very often for Kaisa. I think this is the best one right now. I pulled this from Piltover Archive. I'll have a link in the description down below to that. But essentially, this is the list that got first place at a 512 player regional in China. And it's just all right here. You see all the cards that are on it. Most of them are in this list we talked about. I think notably the Kaisa Evolutionary is missing. Other than that, I believe all of these were on the list we talked about. And if there's not, of course, you can go over to Piltover Archive and you can read all of these. But I think this is a very good starting point if you want to play Kaisa. Obviously, there's a lot of experimentation that can be done. People have been playing this game for months now. So I will say the format is a little more solved than I think most of us would like it to be. However, I think there's also so much experimentation that can be done, especially with a deck like Kaisa. So who knows, you could be the player to take it to the next limit or take it to that next level. And I'm really excited to see how this deck does in Houston. I think obviously this deck and Master Yi have the 2 biggest heads on or targets on their heads going into that tournament. But I think this is a list that you will see a lot of. So if you've played games into this list, you should have a game plan for sure going into Kaisa. And like I said, there will be a link in the description down below. You can research other Kaisa decks there as well. But this is really just for people who, you know, it's Friday, set 1 came out. Kaisa is my favorite champion, or I really like the Spellslinger playstyle. I'm going to build Kaisa. Where do I start? This is definitely where you're going to want to start with that. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Comment down below which deck you're most excited for in set 1, Origins of Riftbound. I know me personally, Kaisa is one of the decks I am very excited for. There are more, and we're going to cover all of them in this series. Also, if you're new to my channel and you're from the Riftbound community, please drop a sub. We're going to be doing tons of Riftbound content here. I'm going to be making other content for other card games as well. However, Riftbound is going to be going towards the top of my list. I just love the IP, and I'm very excited to make content for this. So definitely stay tuned for that. That being said, I'm TPGTCG, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.